Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll, where we crank the stories that set music free. Today, we're diving into the shadows of the stage, the bass players, those four-string rebels who hold down the low end while the spotlight hogs the glory. These aren't just rhythm keepers, they're the heartbreak of rock and roll, the growl and the groove, the ones who break the rules and make the walls shake. We put together a list of some of the most iconic bass players in music history. James Jamerson, the legendary Motown singer who played that slinky groove on What's Going On while laying down drunk on the studio floor. Bootsy Collins in his Cosmic Funk. Lemmy, Eatin' and Lightning and Crappin' Thunder is the bassist for Motorhead. The psychedelic jams of Phil Lesh. The jazz fire of Charles Mingus and Les Claypool's, whatever it is that he does. Paul McCartney, The Ox. John Paul Jones, Donald Duck Dunn, Carol Kaye. They're musicians who broke out of the background, proving that the bass isn't just support. It's the pulse of the music. So turn it up, feel the rumble, and let's give these low-end legends the stage that they deserve. This one's for the bass players.
Walks further down the street with the brim pulled way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of speed. Machine guns ready to go. Are you ready? Hey, are you ready for this? Are you hanging up?
Hey there, rock and roll renegades. Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll, episode number 99. It's Bruce Kramer firing up the engines for another epic ride on today's show. But I'm not riding solo. Oh no. I got a heavyweight champion of musical knowledge, hooks and harmonies by my side. He's unstoppable. He's unforgettable. He's untouchable, undefinable, undeniable. The one and only Mr. Ryan McCusker.
Are you rocking?
Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by Boldfoot Socks and McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia, and our show is proudly part of Pantheon Media. I'm yelling so loud that my neighbor's dog is now going batshit across the way.
Fuck that dog. Let him bark. Let him bark, damn it.
My next door neighbor's got like 5 dogs, so it's like the fucking Bumpuses from
I live in a row home and my window's open and I just screamed, "Are you rocking?" They're probably like, "What the fuck's going on?" Of course we are, McCusker.
Right. What's going on, brother?
Hanging in there, pal.
Yeah,
man, just hanging in there as best as I can.
It's all we can do. We took an extra week off. I was sick as all hell. I had bronchitis. I couldn't even talk. There was a lot of editing in the last show, editing out me coughing, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And I'm going to be holding it together this week. Glad we're finally able to get back together. I've got some second thoughts of everything with your dad and some people that wrote us in and everything else.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But like right off the bat, I appreciate everybody's support. My family listened, like my cousins. You know, it was great. They loved the show. They loved the quality of it. It's everything that we aim for. I'm getting the feedback.
It was wonderful because you asked me last night, like, how did last episode do compared to some of our normal episodes? And it actually had a little bit more listeners than we normally do after 2 weeks. So I thought that was really nice. That was a very
I was just, if anybody had interest, you know?
Yeah,
we could something help me with my therapy. You know, I don't know if any other people would enjoy it as a show, but I enjoyed it. It helped me out a lot.
It did well, and we had some listeners write in, and we got some great feedback, and the services were wonderful. Yeah. It was very fitting. And,
St. Monica's set my dad off like a rock star.
Yeah. Well, I mean, shit, we could just mention it too. I mean, the Phillies sent your dad. Right? What? The Phillies? The Phillies?
We have a jersey. You know, the jersey, the Phillies. You know, it's amazing.
So what the Phillies heard about your dad, and they sent you a letter, like saying their condolences.
It's crazy.
And then a jersey that said McCusker's on it and
Yeah,
68
it says
for the year
McCusker 68 on it.
for the year the bar opened.
Yeah, we're gonna get it framed and hang it up in the bar.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And the Phillies are such a class organization on so many levels. And then I remember I saw that the Philadelphia Inquirer had a whole thing about your dad. Really, really touching. It was really nice. So let's get into some bass players, man. It's not an instrument that like I pay a lot of attention to, and other than like Rush and Primus and certain things. But when you suggested this, putting together this list, I went back and started listening to some of this music and really paying attention to the bass, and I was digging it.
Dude, without the bass, you would totally recognize that there's something not going on in there. For instance, Prince's When Doves Cry, there's no bass guitar in it. That's why it sounds so different than anything, you know?
We talked a lot about in our episode on the Doors, how the Doors didn't have a bass player and there's no bass on most of that music, and how maybe that contributes to their different sound.
I personally don't like the White Stripes because they don't have no bottom. You know, like maybe Jack White makes up with the bass of his tone out of his guitar, but there's still no bass that has no bottom. It does nothing for every song. I'm waiting for the song to start.
We were trying to pick a song to play coming out of the monologue, and I just looked up like songs with best bass grooves or something on Spotify, and Seven Nations Army by the White Stripes is on there. Is like it was the number one song on the playlist, and I'm thinking that you're right. It's probably he's playing the deeper notes on his guitar. There's not a bass on there.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're another band I feel like we could do one of those like, do they suck? You know, like we did the Kid Rock suck, does Rush suck? Like, does the White Stripes suck?
I like the Racketeers more than I like the White Stripes. Where I like Jack White's solo stuff more than the White Stripes.
He's in that like Dave Grohl ear, that bucket of like when there's anybody needs to have an opinion on anything in music, they ask him what's going on or what he thinks.
I like Jack White. I totally dig him. I think he has a good opinion. Anything he has a more, I don't know, less rock star answer than Dave Grohl.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And he seems to be like really into like the history of music. He was in that whole thing with the Zeppelin thing with the Song Remains the Same or whatever that special was. He's got like that independent record store in Nashville he runs, and a bunch of other shit, but he's not a bass player. So I came up with a list of like 17 bass players. I don't know how the hell we're going to get to them all, but we'll figure it out. And I tried to go like, I didn't want all just like rock guys. So I got like, there's a little bit of jazz. There's some heavier shit, some rhythm and blues. So covering a lot of ground, which is cool because then you realize how important the instrument is. And
that's what we do. We go further than rock and roll.
Sure. And the number one guy on the list, and I figured that there's no other place to start, is James Jamerson.
Yeah, we talk about him a lot.
Yeah, so we did a whole show on the Funk Brothers. So James Jamerson was a member of the Funk Brothers, which was the house band for Motown. And you think of any friggin' song that came out of Motown that James Jamerson is playing on it.
That's why all the Motown songs sound the same, because they had the same fucking band on every record. Of course, it sounds like Motown.
Yeah,
because it's the same fucking band on everything. It's the singers that change.
Yeah, dude, you mentioned that when we did that episode, that it was almost like a rotating singer project, and it totally changed the way I look at Motown. I mean, and that's all just fucking great music, man. It's like American culture.
I mean, he did some important work from the beginning of like R&B, rock and roll, to Marvin Gaye. What's going on?
The Marvin Gaye thing too is because James Jamerson died young. He had a horrible substance abuse problem, and he was so hammered that he was literally laying on his ass in the studio, like on his back, drunk, playing that hook. And so it was interesting too, because he only played with one finger. He was just like, you know, like, I mean, shit, that My Girl, like, boom, 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 boom,
yeah,
boom.
Absolutely.
It's so simple, but it's so brilliant.
But I think that's what makes his style relatable, is it is simple.
Sure.
You know, I was explaining to someone to the bar today, how maybe it's hard for someone to get into Rush because they're a little bit too technical, when it's easier to get into Springsteen when it's just rock and roll. When it's simple is better.
I totally agree. I think like I don't know, there was like an author I used to have a quote on my desk at my job, and it said like, genius is the ability to say a profound thing in a simple way. It was just like,
Right.
Simple can be hard, but simple works.
Simple is hard, dude.
Yeah. Even
simple is hard.
I was driving somewhere with my family today, and we were listening to like old 50s music, and it was like no, I was listening to the playlist from your dad and that old doo-wop stuff and how simple it is, and just like, it's all the harmonies, and there's only a few instruments on it, and just how brilliant it is.
Yeah, I mean, that beginning of like whatever rock and roll was, it was just about rocking, not impressing people with progressions and shit.
And I'll play some James Jamerson in a minute, but one thing I didn't look up was like the early, like, find somebody who was like a stand-up bassist, because sometimes now, like, doing this show, I can tell the difference between a stand-up bass and electric bass.
Well, Elvis is stand-up bass player. He's revolutionary in the beginning.
Yeah, dude, even like old like Johnny Cash upright bass, and even listening to like some rockabilly music now, you can still hear it. Even like Typo Negative had guy played an upright bass.
He had a different kind of sound. Not that I like them that much. I don't really get it, but they definitely have a sound to them.
It was unique. Yeah, I wasn't like an enormous fan of theirs. I thought the bass was most interesting for a heavy metal band.
Let's go back to James Jamerson. Let's play something. Right? Let's play what's going on.
Brother, this is a big party, man. Yeah, brother, like, stop. Right on.
Mother, there's too many of you crying. Brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we've got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, I think one of the best records ever made. It's a perfect track. Everything about it.
And it was so different too for like Motown, because it was like political. You're right. It was like a little different than everything they did.
Sure. Motown was like safety gloves all the time. They never pushed the envelope.
It was effed up reading too about James Jamerson. He didn't have a proper headstone on his grave for almost 40 years after he died.
Oh my God. What's up with these people with rock star money and shit?
Like 2021, he finally got a proper headstone. It was like before that, he had like a little nameplate. Like Motown didn't do shit for him.
Like Smokey couldn't go out and buy him a fucking headstone. Like nobody thought about it.
Right.
He must have been a jerk off then.
It's
wanted to.
Yeah, it's crazy because like he rose like so much of this stuff all came out of him. It's crazy.
But why didn't anybody step up and help him?
I don't know, man. It is nuts. Go back and listen to the episode we did on the Funk Brothers. I thought it was one of our better ones too. The next dude I had on my list is another artist that we did an entire show on, and that was Les Claypool. And
yeah, he's on another level.
Total opposite, right? James Jamerson was playing this simple stuff with one finger, and in Les Claypool, it's everywhere.
Yeah, he needs like an extra finger, so he uses a toe. I
could put Jerry was a race car driver by Primus on here. Let's play a little bit of that. You get the idea, because it opens with the bass.
he's on another fucking level.
Yeah, he's a spaceman.
I can understand people not liking Primus and like way over their fucking head. I can understand and get that. But, anybody that loves music knows that Les Claypool's on another fucking level.
There's some artists that I'm like, they're too weird for me and it's not my bag, but I love them. I always have. I liked them when I was in high school.
They're definitely weird though, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's a weird dude.
But they're a band that the bass is like the center of their sound too.
Yeah.
It's not a guitar-driven sound.
There's not many bands like that or plays the bass like he does.
Even bands, there's not a lot of bands where the bass player is like sings. Yeah, there's a handful of guys on here like
you got Geddy Lee and fucking
McCartney and Lemmy and Les and shit like that, but not a ton of bands where the bass player is doing something else other than just playing bass. I guess even too, man, like the way you think about a band set up on stage, the bass player is kind of off on the side, right? He's not ripping his solos and shit like that. They're quietly just kind of keeping things moving.
But that's the most important thing for a band is the bass. It's like you want it to be so grooving, you don't want to be noticed.
Yeah.
You don't want to stick out because if you stick out, you're doing something wrong.
I would imagine too that being a bass player too, like even if you're going off and playing a drum solo, at some point you gotta come back and get back in that pocket.
You gotta synchronize. You gotta synchronize your bass and the drums together.
And very important. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of artists that you're getting like a bass solo, or if you do, it's real short. It's a couple notes and then you move.
It depends on what kind of music you're listening to. Sure.
I think it's interesting too how many different ways there are to play the bass. I mean, you got to stand up and electric, and then there's guys that'll do the slap bass, and then the one finger, and guys will play multiple fingers.
Yeah, I've seen all kinds of crazy different techniques. As generation, you're going to see more techniques done in different ways.
Even the evolution of the upright to the electric. I mean, shit, there's not a lot of. I mean, I guess you went from an acoustic guitar to an electric guitar, but seems like I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I was gonna say it seems like a minor thing, but I guess it wasn't.
I think it was an afterthought. Like it was great what Les Paul did, but he needed something to accompany it with. Or
that's true.
I don't know. That's how I look at it.
No, that's very right. There's not like an acoustic. I guess the step upright bass is an acoustic.
Like I look
at guitar.
I don't look as instruments as solo things. I look them as made to play together. If that makes any sense.
Sure, it does. Well, I mean, a guitar, like you can be like a dude with just one guitar and playing in like a restaurant, or you could be a piano player or some shit like that. But it's like you're not going to go like out to a fancy dinner and just a guy playing bass standing there by himself, right? Like you're part of something.
It'd be Les Claypool or some shit.
Right. You're like some wacko, really bizarre shit.
You want to hear some bizarre shit real fast?
Yeah, please.
This is silly South Philly shit. You can edit it out, but I think our listeners will kind of like it. South Philly is such a weird fucking place. On Easter Sunday, there's no one on the streets because, everybody's at church or at dinner like that. I'm walking down the street and I hear like a karaoke guy. And I'm like, oh, somebody must have a block party. So I get to the block and I see the guy parked in his car with a karaoke machine out. I get to the corner and there's no one out there. And he's just singing karaoke by himself out there in the middle of the street with no one around on Easter Sunday.
Did you sing with him? You jump in?
No, I ran as fast as I thought he was nuts. It's weird. Maybe you can cut that out, but
no, dude, leave it in because Easter Sunday was also funny because we both were at the Phillies game. We weren't there together, but I saw you check in there. I go every year on Easter Sunday with my family. I saw you check in there with your brother, and I was like texting you, like, "Oh yeah, you're at the Phillies game." Just just funny.
Yeah, it was really nice, especially first holiday without Dad. It was great to get out of the house.
Yeah, I was glad you were able to do something.
Sure.
No.
But this guy was so weird.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's probably why I don't want to live in the city anymore. I did it for a couple of years, and now I'm like, yeah, man, I like my not being around people.
Holy shit. Like, I don't know why. I was scared to ask him why.
Yeah. Because he probably would have an answer, and you probably don't want to hear it.
And I don't even think he lived on my block. He was coming out of his fucking car. I think he found a parking spot and fucking started singing.
We always were going to say, like, we take our camper out somewhere, we're going to buy a karaoke machine and have it out at the campfire and put a sign up that says, like, you can sing a song if you give us a beer, and to see who would stop by. Like, because people, sometimes it's like, it's a giant party.
People are fun.
Yeah, people are living it up and having a party. Certain campgrounds, no, but
that definitely breaks the ice.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a while. To like, we should just get a karaoke machine and just set it up and see what happens. I don't know. We were up at like Jim Thorpe in the Poconos a couple of years ago, and
that sounds great. I love Jim Thorpe.
Somebody had a karaoke machine. It was like all night. There was like 30 people out there like partying it up.
I would definitely enjoy that, just because you're out in the middle of nowhere, nothing else to do.
Yeah,
but sing karaoke, that's pretty fun.
All right, let me keep on rolling. The next dude I put on the list, I don't know shit about, and it's Jaco Pastorius.
Oh, dude, what do you want to know?
So tell me.
Jaco Pastorius is the greatest bass player of all time. If you didn't know that, if he was alive, he would tell you that he's the greatest bass player alive.
I've heard that. So I only know him because I remember your brother mentioned it one time on the show, who he was, and I didn't know shit about him. And then I listened to another podcast. I listened to it was 4 hours of what the hell happened to his bass.
Oh, yeah. The bass player of Metallica, Robert Trujillo, has it now.
Yeah. So Jaco was in he was in the Weather Report.
He was.
In a band, and he did some solo shit.
Well, he also played with Carly Simon.
Okay.
He had some successful recordings with different artists, but he was so difficult to play with.
Yeah, it's actually in my notes. The greatest bass player in the world. He claimed himself the greatest bass player in the world. But they said how he played shit that was like nobody knew what he was doing. It just was so different. And he was a jazz guy.
Imagine being like somebody like Carly Simon trying to give this guy a gig, and she's singing her songs and he's out in space somewhere. He
had a lot of like mental health issues and shit like that.
Fuck yeah.
I put a song from his solo album on here, Portrait of Tracy, because everything I was reading said that that's like where he's showing off his shit. I didn't know this at all. It's an instrumental. I'll play a little bit of it. I'll skip ahead in the middle of it.
Cool. It don't sound like much, but man, that shit's so fucking hard to do, to play harmonics like that and shit and have a groove going. I can see why people are like, what the fuck's going on?
That's exactly what I was doing when I was listening to it. I'm like,
nope. I'm jumping to the gun on it before you say, what the fuck was that? I'm like, listen, I can see why someone would listen to that and be like, what the fuck's going on? But I understand what he's fucking doing. And people that listen to Jaco are also musicians, mostly.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, if you're a music nerd, you would listen to that, but you're not like, nobody's casually firing that up and listening to it in their backyard on a Saturday.
No, unless you're hanging out with me and my buddies. Like, I had a Jaco Pastorius shirt that I wore forever that I bought in Greenwich Village in New York City. And I would wear it at the bar, and it would say Jaco, and they would relate it to Michael Jackson. Yeah, and I had to school them all on who Jaco Pastorius. There's people that got it fucking right. But
his the ending of his life too was really weird. So he had this bass that he called the Bass of Doom, and he pried all the frets out of it and like filled in the cracks, so it didn't have frets.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was a very legendary instrument. And then he when the Weather Report broke up, the band he was in, he got mad and he took his bass and he yeeted it into the Hiroshima River after a gig. He actually wound up, he was homeless near the end of his life, and he wound up selling his bass player for drugs, and then he would like steal it back from the drug player, and it disappeared. You're right. And then the Metallica, they found it like kind of recently, like within the last like 10 years in like a pawn shop or some shit like that.
I think the only thing that's left original on the bass is probably just the body itself. The neck and everything else is gone. But like the actual shell of it is the only thing that like is part of the Bass of Doom.
Yeah, there's a podcast called The Phantom Jukebox that they were fans of ours. I don't think they make episodes anymore, but they did like a 3-part thing on what happened to the Bass of Doom and how it was lost. And I
would love to hear that.
Yeah, dude.
I'm a real geek, so I'm a real geek, so it's like I know all about but I would love just to hear a 3-part series about a bass guitar.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, it was like, and it's interesting because since it doesn't have when it doesn't have frets in it, it's just a different sound.
Yeah, it's a fretless. Fretless have different sounds.
Yeah. It was 2006. 2006, they found it in a pawn shop, and they found out that the serial number on it matched Jocko's, and Robert Trujillo bought it and restored it, but he doesn't play it. It's like it's hanging in his house.
Yeah, it's thank God he found it, and it's worth a lot of money, but it wouldn't be worth anything if he didn't put the time and to restore it and everything.
Well, and it was missing for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
So
I actually seen him play the Bass of Doom.
Oh, really?
It was at the Big Four at Yankee Stadium, and he busted it out.
Oh, that's cool.
For whom the bell tolls.
Okay.
That he played the Bass of Doom on that shit.
Wow. They said like Jocko like left it in a park in New York City.
Yeah, he was like, nuts.
And it got stolen.
He would like go out during the summer and put like a car battery up to amplifiers and go out to the park and watch people play basketball and just play bass all day long and do nothing but like play to them bouncing to the ball and shit.
He died. He was only like 35 years old when he died, and he died after a bar fight. He got his ass kicked in a bar, and he wound up dying.
Getting his ass kicked was an everyday fucking thing for Jocko. Like he was an asshole. It's
kind of like a tragic. They think he was bipolar, and he had some drug, substance problems, and just a kind of a tragic figure from what I was reading about it.
He always wore a Phillies hat.
Did he?
Yes, he did. Okay. I don't know if he has some kind of Philadelphia connection, but he always wore a Phillies hat.
Interesting. Well, it was somebody I didn't know shit about, and I started reading about, and I learned a little bit. So,
love Jocko.
The next guy I had on my list is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So this is like, if Jocko is like jazz, this is like the Chili Peppers are like where funk and like punk music and rock and roll kind of all come together. And he's a huge part of their freaking sound.
Flea is amazing. It just sucks. He should have been in a better band, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know you've talked about that before, that you're not an enormous fan of theirs.
Well, it's not that. It just, I don't know why I have my issues with them. They were one thing. I was watching a movie the other night and they were fucking in it. And it was so weird and so 1980s. And then the motherfucker started singing. And he hasn't stopped singing. And that's what bothers me.
Dude, they were in the movie The Chase with Henry Rollins and
they were great.
They're like the rednecks, like right. Dude, it's just I absolutely love that movie because Henry Rollins is in it. But they're funny in that.
They are.
I put Higher Ground on here. I know that's a cover, but I thought the bass is pretty kick ass.
Yeah.
There you go. Listen to that and paying attention to the bass, it's pretty kick-ass.
Flea's an interesting dude. I read his book.
Okay.
And it only went up to from when he was a kid up to when he was right when the band got signed. So he was about 19 years old. Dude, it's amazing that him and Anthony Kiedis are alive. Like, it's amazing that he didn't die at 15 years old. Like they were on the streets of fucking LA growing up. You don't get more what they are. They, but everybody loved Flea. Steven Spielberg loved Flea for Flea. He put him in the Back to the Future movies.
Yeah, he's like a weird, like eccentric dude. He's not like Les Claypool weird, but he's still like a funky, interesting kind of guy.
Yeah, he knows how to glue something to get together to make it listenable. It's a shame he's not in a better band.
All right, I like them. We've talked about this a million times. When it's
Californication's a great album, but after that, it was the same thing over and over and over again.
Was it like Rick Rubin convinced him that he should try singing?
Yeah,
and
which is great here and there, but every fucking song I don't think he uses auto-tune, but I think he should.
Yeah, you said that. Yeah, you said that before, but all right. Geddy Lee from Rush, the I don't know, the chief nerd of bass playing.
Yeah, I mean, Geddy Lee is he's an acquired taste. Rush is an acquired taste. If 4-chord Bruce Springsteen don't do it for you, it's a band like Rush that I'm sure does.
Yeah, man. So we on another band that we did a whole show on. We did like just Rush suck, and I think we both came to the conclusion that no, they don't. We enjoyed
definitely
it.
Don't suck. Yeah, what did we do? The 2012 what was it?
Yeah, 2012. We listened to the whole album.
That's a great record. Yeah.
I agree that they're an acquired taste. You kind of got to be in the mood to listen to them. But I feel that way with this like prog rock in general.
Yeah, I mean, as a musician, everybody just shoved them down my throat my whole life. Especially pure, like fuck.
But he also was interesting too, because like he would be singing and playing bass, and he fucked around with some other instruments too. Like
he played the keyboards with his feet.
Yeah, like playing the keyboards with his feet while playing the bass and singing at the same time.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And he, you could totally see like the connection with somebody like Les Claypool, like studies him and shit like that.
Oh God, like he invented a whole way to play bass guitar.
Yeah. I put YYZ on here from Moving Pictures because that's what the internet said was
yeah, I wouldn't know.
Was great for his dizzying lead-like line. So let's play it and see if I can find some bass. You can hear it, man. He's ripping it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea of Rush is so over the heads of what we like about rock and roll, Bruce.
I agree. I like the emotion. I say it all the time. Like, the best thing about music is when it makes you feel something, and it doesn't make me feel anything when I listen to Rush. I'm like, okay, cool.
Really, I'm sure other people do, but
Dungeons and Dragons nerds.
Yeah, of course.
Right, I'm playing fucking Diablo 4. Maybe I'll fire it up, but
but yeah, Geddy Lee is a monster.
Yeah, but I'd much rather hear like Otis Redding or some shit like that. Something with some soul in it. But
yeah, and I love fusion music. Like I love Jacopo stories. Like I get but Rush just bores the shit out of me.
Yeah,
they're all amazing. Musicians and absolutely, but together it's a little bit too much for me.
If it's on, I find myself, I don't turn it off as much as I used to. Ever since we did that episode on them.
Yeah, but I could take Tom Sawyer and shit they play on the radio. I'm just not listening to like any deep cuts besides the 2012 album.
The next one, and we're moving kind of quickly because there's a lot here, but the next one is an OG motherfucker, and that is Bootsy Collins. And how we have not talked about Bootsy yet.
Bootsy motherfucking Collins.
Man, and speaking about guys from outer space, man, the outfits, the glasses.
Yeah. What's the sad fucking thing is I first knew Bootsy Collins from The Delight. You know, you remember that he was in the video and shit? It's like, I knew
Oh, you're right. Groove is in the heart.
Yeah, and he was the bass player in it, that group.
I hated that song.
Yeah, but he was in it.
Yeah, you're right. I totally forgotten that. He played with James Brown.
Oh my God, yeah. But I knew who he was at a young age because he was in that Delight shit.
He got shit canned from James Brown because he was all effed up on LSD and was like laughing on stage the whole time. And I mean, shit. Parliament Funkadelic sound is built on the bass.
Oh,
and it was like it starts there and goes up, and then even like that like that G-Funk Snoop Dogg sound, like that is all
him.
It's bass up.
It's all him.
Yeah, West Coast hip hop, an enormous debt to Bootsy Collins and Parliament Funkadelic. Here's Flashlight. We have to do an episode on Parliament Funkadelic.
They did the Mothership album, and what their idea was said that Bootsy and Clinton were riding in a car out in the middle of the desert, and the UFO came down on them and like gave them like the light on them and shit, and then they did the Mothership album.
That's where like his bass player comes from, the space bass. He said it was he had a dream he was playing guitar for aliens, and they built it for him.
And he never stopped. He was on that Standing in the Shadows of Motown documentary.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, he played on a few of the songs.
Okay. Yeah, total motherfucker. And the next one, all right, so a woman. Got a woman artist, Carol Kaye. Carol Kaye.
You don't know Carol Kaye's name, but you know all her music.
Exactly right. When it showed up on the list, I was like, I don't think I know Carol Kaye. And then I started leading into it. I'm like, oh, yes, you do. So Carol Kaye was in the Wrecking Crew, and the Wrecking Crew, next to the Funk Brothers, one of the greatest backing bands.
Yeah, for Capitol, the Capitol band. They have so many legendary players. If you know your geek stuff about the Wrecking Crew, God, all the hits they played on, they invented rock and roll. Those guys.
I mean, shit, those dudes were like all of those Wall of Sound things that Phil Spector did. They're on all of that shit. They were like with yeah, and sometimes those guys on the Wrecking Crew would play on other artists who wouldn't even get credit. Like they were.
Oh yeah, that was their job. Yeah, they didn't even think anything of it. It was just another day at the office.
Right. They played on like Dylan albums, the Byrds, all kinds of shit.
See, the thing with Capitol, it's like, okay, this rock and roll thing started, and they had these musicians. Rock and roll already started, but I think the Wrecking Crew perfected it.
You think about it, like rock and roll, they're still trying to figure out all this stuff, and then you have this tight knit group of artists who they've been working together. Like Carol Kaye, they said she played on 10,000 different recordings. And
way before rock and roll was even a thing, she was on many records before that. Classical music pieces and all that shit.
You've just got this group of professionals that are like, they're used to playing together. And it's so rare too, because like, so she played bass on like I'm a Believer by the Monkees.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it's a woman in the 60s, which is super rare. Because she's not like, I don't know, you got a handful of women in music, but it's like Michelle Phillips and singers, but this is like somebody playing an instrument.
Over at a time when it was dominated by men that you always heard about. You never heard about women in the sessions. And she was so important.
And what I was reading too, they said that like she was a guitar player in the 50s.
I believe it.
And then somebody for like a Capitol Records session, like the bass player didn't show up, and she was like, "Well, I'll do it." And she picked up the bass and then just like crushed it and never looked back.
She plays on all those Beach Boys records.
Yeah. Well, she's on she's the bass on the theme for MASH. She's the bass on the Mission Impossible theme. Like her, she did all kinds of TV shit. And yeah, I'll play Good Vibrations because she's playing bass on that.
Yes.
I love the colorful clothes she wears and the way the sunlight plays upon her head. I hear the sound of a gentle wind on the wind that lifts her perfume through the air. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. I'm picking up good vibrations. She's giving me the excitations. Picking up good vibrations.
All right.
I think that's the perfect song.
I was just about to say that is one of the most perfect examples of American music ever recorded.
And I love the ending part of when it gets gonna get your vibrations. That is fucking brilliant, man.
You're a smart you're a smart motherfucker. You said the same thing I was going to say.
Just like even the trail end of the song. That's fucking metal.
And it's like, there's it's a little hard to hear the bass because there's a lot going on in there. There's like a lot of different instruments and the harmonies are stacked up so high. Yeah, that's one of the best songs ever recorded.
Absolutely. I always knew that too. It was on the jukebox as a kid. I was like, wow, this fucking song is on another level.
There's something special about that. They had that stretch with like the Pet Sounds album. It just, nothing compares to it. And you don't even hear a lot of harmonies like that in music anymore.
No, harmonies aren't cool in music. Are you kidding me?
But it's fucking brilliant. Like all that doo-wop music, man, is harmonies, and the Beach Boys, and even
music is so far away from music right now. It's
right. It's like even if you don't like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, those guys.
Yeah, I don't like them.
But they sang really friggin' tight
fucking
harmonies.
Right, they did.
The Eagles sang tight harmonies, like just
yeah.
And now it would be all computerized. And fuck, Queen was like, they're
4-part harmony and shit. Yeah.
But all right. I was in the library the other day looking for some music books, and there was a history of the Wrecking Crew, and I took a picture of it. I'm like, I got to read that when I finish what I'm reading right now.
That's awesome. There's a good documentary floating around there somewhere on Netflix or some shit.
Another thing that needs to be on our list of artists we need to get to, and I still want to do like the Muscle Shoals guys that did all like those Aretha Franklin albums and shit like that.
Yeah.
We're definitely not going to run out of topics and shit to talk about. But
was that 100 episodes?
Yeah, right. 99. Keep on rocking. John Entwistle, The Who, the Ock.
Now, he was a whole other thing, man. Like, he was playing bass guitar of the future in the 60s.
They're a band that, like, yes, you listen to now, like, you listen to My Generation, and you're like, that's punk.
Oh, yeah. They were like
proto-punk.
Yeah,
they're years like ahead of time.
Yes. I mean, you had to have some kind of good bass player because look at Keith Moon. He was all over the motherfucking place.
Right. He's somebody to ground him. The other thing I remember with the Ox was like, The Who was on the road when he died, and those fuckers, like, he died on like a Wednesday, and those fuckers played on like Thursday.
Yeah, Doug saw them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he died in Vegas, and 2 days later they were in Camden. And they just kept on going like it didn't fucking matter.
It was like when Buddy Holly died. They real quick called in like Dion to fly out and finish the tour. It was like just
those guys don't fuck around. The leftovers from the Who.
Townsend's kind of an asshole, but
you have to be, right?
Yeah, he got the kiddie porn shit that he got wrapped up into.
Yeah.
But
shitbag of the week.
There you go. I think we've given him shitbag of the week before, but shitbag of the week.
Dun, dun, dun.
But those early Who albums, man, it's like it's before they got into like Tommy and the more artful stuff. It's like garage rocky kind of sound. This is great.
even when they got like quadrophenia, like you want to play a great bass thing from End Whistle?
Yeah.
It was The Real Me. And that record is fucking amazing. He's fucking unbelievable. I mean, we talk about Jamerson playing with one finger, to strum the plucks, the strings. And Whistle uses two.
Yeah.
And you hear up and down the fucking, he's so busy. But yeah, you have to be to keep up with Keith Moon, even the way he held the instrument was different. It was way up on his chest almost.
Yeah, they said he played it like full treble, like full volume.
Yeah. He definitely put the bass guitar on the map for rock and roll.
Rolling Stone has a list of 50 greatest bass players of all time. Maybe I'll keep it open. I'll try to, when we get done here, I'll read the top 10 real quick. See how we get with our top 10. All right. Next dude I had on here was Victor Wooten. From Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. I remember you talking to me about him like in the 90s.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was totally into Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. I mean, they're in that jam band Fish world. But Victor Wooten, he would only fit in Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. They are such a different kind of fucking band. They're, it's an electric banjo and electric drums and bass. And what really sold me on him was his first solo album. His first solo album came out and it just blew my mind. And I was like, this guy's the greatest fucking bass player ever.
I thought Bella Fleck and the Flecktones were like a not annoying Dave Matthews Band.
Yeah, I mean, there's no singing in it. It's all instrumental, mostly.
Yeah, but the music is very similar, like a little bluegrassy, a little jazz.
Yeah.
But without the annoying fan.
Yeah, Dave is a little bit more pop friendly, radio friendly. Bella Fleck is not radio friendly at all.
He's a dude that he grew up playing bass. Said he was playing bass when he was like 2 years old. When he was 5, he was gigging he was in a band with his brothers playing with Curtis Mayfield. So it's like crazy.
He's a motherfucker. He was born a motherfucker.
He really was. And it's he's super cool. I think he wrote a book on like jazz, how jazz can change your life, or like the bass of life or some shit like that.
Oh, he definitely has a philosophy. He's definitely a dude with a higher calling message.
Yeah, he recorded one of his albums like outside, like in nature, because he was like, I wanted the being out in the forest makes my,
I get it.
My bass player, my bass sing to me differently and shit like that.
And the locusts are out. They're fucking yeah. I'm a city guy. I know what the fuck he's talking about.
Sure. I put me and my bass guitar off of his solo album on here. There's a little bit of that.
My name is Vic, I'm gonna do a little trick. I'm gonna play my bass without using a pick. Travel around the world and back again. I just taking my bass out for a spin. And you know what I'm saying. And if you're ever looking for me, I don't go too far. Cause if you really wanna find me, you know where I are. With me and my bass guitar.
my bass guitar.
That's right. See, I try to eat.
Dude, there's only one way you get that good, and it's practice, practice, practice. Like it's a meeting in your life. Even I bet instead of reading on the toilet, he had the bass guitar when he was sitting on the toilet. You know, like no doubt in my mind. Like that's what you dedicate your life to. Like you approach your instrument the way he does, it changes your life. He's just not playing an instrument; he's living through his instrument.
That sound, that real twangy, sharp sound he was just playing. That's like it's the bass from the Seinfeld theme,
Sure.
but it's like real music. It's not like that.
Yeah, that quirky.
Yeah.
I hate fucking Seinfeld shit.
I have never seen one episode of fucking Seinfeld.
Yeah, I wish I never have, but I've seen a lot of them.
He wrote a book, Victor Wooten, called "The Music Lesson: A Spiritual Search for Growth Through Music." And I remember like I was walking in the men's room at work, and it was like there's a little table in there, like you put your stuff down, you go use the stall, and somebody had left it on the on that little table, and I was like, Victor Wooten, I remember that name, and I was like, oh shit, that's a book I would read, and I wrote it. I have a list of books on my phone that I want to get around to. I'm like, I would totally would read that.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude.
Yeah.
His approach to life seems peaceful. I like it.
Like little hippie-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. The next dude I had on the list is not hippie-ish, and that's Cliff Burton from Metallica.
Yes. Changed the bass for metal forever. He's called Saint Cliff, in my opinion.
Guys have a framed picture of him hanging in the bar, right?
How can you not think every bar in the world that should? I mean, if you don't know about Cliff Burton, please, Bruce, fill us in.
I don't know a whole lot about him, like early Metallica, and I put something from Kill 'Em All on here for the bass, but he was a guy like studied like classical music.
Oh yeah. Rock and roll was like an afterthought with his instrument. You know, I'm sure whatever, but when he found rock and roll, there was no returning. You know, there's so many great fucking bass lines. Like I think you should play For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Okay.
Instead of
I had Anesthesia Pulling Teeth on here, but For Whom the Bell Tolls is.
I think that's his most famous.
Sure. Here. I'm going to stop it there before the lyrics come in because I feel like that's like that. Everybody knows that opening just blows you up.
I mean, I thought it was a game changer. You ever see the movie Zombieland?
Yes.
They open with that, like the movie credits while that fucking song's going off. And I remember seeing it in the theater. I'm like, yeah.
We watched 15 minutes of that in my house. My wife was like, why the fuck would you think I would want to watch this?
That movie's great. But Cliff Burton was tragically killed in a bus accident in like Sweden or Germany or somewhere. They were on the tour with a bunch of other metal bands, and they were driving to the next gig, and the bus flipped over and it killed Cliff.
Yeah.
You know, it was a tragedy in metal. The whole metal world felt it.
Hey, he was only 24 years old. Just another guy that just.
And the way they say it, it's like, you're on tour, you're untouchable. Nothing can happen to you. You're on tour, you're untouchable. You have all these people watching out for you. And, something like that, it really fucked the band up.
I always felt like when he died, like it was one of those, I don't know, maybe there's some heavy metal dude who died. He's probably doing something stupid and dumb. And it's like, kind of like Randy Rhoads, too. It's like, yeah, just wrong place, wrong time, and just died in a horrible accident.
Cliff was very much like Randy. Like very much into his instrument and nothing else mattered. People would be out partying. He'd be
right
with his instrument, God, Cliff changed the game with the bass, like for America the American version of metal. I mean, before him, the bass from Iron Maiden. That was like the only thing in metal that really mattered in bass player was that guy in metal. And then Cliff Burton came in, and that was part of Metallica's magic was Cliff Burton.
Yeah, the bass player like an American heavy metal music. Because I'm thinking like Anthrax too. Like Anthrax, like I was listening.
They got a great bass player, Joe Belly. Yeah,
I was just listening to the anniversary set of Persistence of Time, and I was like, the bass player, the bass in those songs is just awesome.
Oh, he's a monster. He's great live too. He's like a professional wrestler.
I was just thinking like the opening, like we're getting off track, but like this like the first 10 seconds of Time by Anthrax, like no, got the time.
Yeah.
Like that's just awesome.
What is his name? I can't we have to get it right.
Hang on.
I should know this.
Frank Bello.
Yeah, Frankie Bello. Yeah, Frankie Bello, man, it's a fucking monster. I always felt so, even though I can't come up with his name right now. I always, he's has so many great bass lines in the history of the band, just not that,
Yeah, I didn't have them on the list, but they were a band out of all the heavy metal shit that I was into in high school. They were the band that I liked the most, and that album was the most because I thought it was so different sounding because of the bass playing.
Yeah, they are totally the East Coast version of metal.
Yeah, just bass driven. You're right. Like a lot of the British shit, the bass wasn't as pronounced as Maiden and Priest, and maybe Geezer Butler and Sabbath.
Yeah, but Cliff and Frankie, they both did something different with it.
And Cliff Burton, unfortunately, when it became like this legendary figure because he died.
Yes, but he had the rep already.
Yeah, sure.
And now it's like all Metallica has this huge history. They even made it through the first half of it without Cliff Burton. They needed something. They needed something besides Lars and James. They needed something else, and it was Cliff. Just not a bass player, fucking Cliff.
Yeah, but now they're at the point where like they're almost like a classic rock act, right? They've been around.
They're like the Rolling Stones now,
right? They've been around for 50 years.
Yeah,
but Cliff is this legendary kind of character who died in their early. You get people that listen to them who weren't around when Cliff Burton.
But people say the band died when Cliff died.
Yeah,
there's a lot of people that stopped listening to Metallica after Cliff Burton died, especially with the fucking Black Album.
Yeah, I was like, well, there's a handful of moments where, like, when they cut their hair, when they sued their Napster fans, there's several moments where people look at Metallica, like, they went headlining Lollapalooza, like, they sold out, they did this, they did that, like the Load and Reload albums, but.
Yeah, they do what big bands do.
Right? They're fucking still going, right?
Hey, I got tickets to see them at Lincoln Financial on fucking Memorial Day weekend, baby.
I think I told you before, the pastor of my church asked me if I wanted to go to Metallica.
I would definitely hang out with that dude.
Dude, he's awesome. He's so cool. They were a little too expensive for us, but he was like, I was like, fuck yeah, I want to go to Metallica with the pastor of my church.
Oh God, I spent so much money for that weekend. I don't give a fuck.
Those tickets were not cheap, man.
No, man. And before everything that happened with my family, I bought those tickets. But now everything with like losing my father, it's like that's the only show I care about this summer. Yeah, I don't think I'm seeing anybody else but Metallica this summer.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're going then.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't miss it.
Yeah, that tour just started too. The the M83 tour that Metallica's on.
Yeah, I saw them a couple summers ago at the Meadowlands. So it's like continuing that, I guess.
Yeah, that's cool. I think I've got like 7 artists left, so we're going a little faster than I thought we were going to. Why don't we take a quick break?
Sure.
All right, dude. We'll be back.
Stick around.
Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern, 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia. There's something for everyone on the beer list and the jukebox in McCuskers. It's minutes from the sports stadiums in Philly, making it a great place to stop by for a few drinks before or after a concert or a game. Come see for yourself why everyone from Philadelphia Magazine to Playboy has called it one of the best dive bars in the city. Visit them at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia or on Facebook. That's McCuskers Tavern. All right, we're back from the commercial break. Thanks so much for sticking with us. That was Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. Didn't have them on that list, but man, the bass is pretty solid in the beginning of that song.
Tom Hamilton's the man, dude. He's a fucking great bass player. He played on all those fucking Aerosmith songs. Yeah, towards the end, I was so bummed that they canceled their tour.
Yeah.
But they've been making really bad music for the last 20 years.
I'm glad at least they pulled the plug on it instead of like rolling out and sounding like shit, but
I saw them on the first run of the first try of the run of the tour, and man, it was awful. The stage looked great, but they were having like really bad sound problems, and yeah, it sucked. I was going to give them one more try, and then they called it quits.
yeah, I had tickets to see them in the last December, and we wound up just getting our money back, but
Yeah, me too.
all right. The next dude, we've talked about a handful of times. We could never talk about enough. Fucking Lemmy from Motorhead.
Lemmy. I mean, did he really change anything for the bass guitar, do you think?
No. And I saw an interview. He's like, we didn't add anything to music. We took it away. We took shit away. He's like, we stripped out all the bullshit, the pretension, the glam. He's like, we just like wanted to kick your ass playing music.
I mean, Lemmy is that fucking pair of jeans and motorcycle jacket that you never clean.
Yeah.
You know, like he's real rock and roll. He was that talented, but his personality came through the bass guitar.
The complete embodiment of sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, well here's a little bit of Ace of Spades. I just found the quote, too. They said, here's Lemmy. They asked me what Motorhead brought to heavy metal. I told them nothing, not a zero. We didn't bring anything. We took it away. We took away the egos, the stuck-up musicianship, the 15-minute drum solos, the shitty stage clothes, the makeup, and the hype. All that was left was Motorhead. Love it.
You know, Lemmy is exactly like his playing. Rude, crude, and aggressive.
Sure.
He lived his life like he played his music.
Yeah. I mean, shit, drank more Jack Daniels than anybody I've ever seen. Even the way he held the mic stand when it was real high, like tucking down his face, he's playing with his head back.
He was so unhealthy for the last 15 years of his life. He just kept on putting Band-Aids on whatever the fuck was wrong with him and just kept going.
Yeah, shit just caught up to him. But it was like, but you think of like heavy metal bands that crossed over, like Metallica or like Green Day, like metal or punk bands that like crossed over.
Motorhead was cool if you were a punk or a metalhead. They were like that in between that both guys could dig.
And I for the fucking life of me, I don't understand how they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because they're so important, because they were like the punks and the metal guys, and that everything that rock and roll stands for, like the danger and shit, that's all they were.
Do you think Lemmy ever said anything good about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
I don't think so.
So I don't think they're ever even on their fucking map.
But they were for a minute when Dave Grohl was on the nominating committee, because Dave Grohl gave his eulogy.
Yeah.
And was like tight with him.
Yeah, sure.
So they were up for nomination like one time, and then that was the end of it. But it was like, man, they're just, I'm sorry, I will die on that hill. They are really important in the story of rock and roll.
I think they'll get in before Motley Crue does.
I think so too. And is Motley Crue more important in music? Maybe.
I don't know.
Next time at the bar, we could start that argument. But all right, I could talk about Lemmy forever.
Sure.
But keep rolling. Got a handful of other guys left. Jack Bruce from Cream. We have not talked about Cream at all,
because I don't like them at all.
I don't either.
I played their music in a band for 10 years, and every night I wanted to kill myself.
Why? What don't you like about them?
Where do I fucking start? Let's start with their drummer, Ginger Baker. He's a fucking nightmare on the drums and off the drums. He plays his drums like he lives his life, bizarre and crazy. Like, he has no structure whatsoever. And not for none, his fucking drums sound like wet paper bags.
Okay.
You know, and it's like, I guess you need to do something for a 3-piece band, and that's what Cream was. And like, Clapton's a great guitar player, and Lemmy Bruce, and who's the bass player?
Jack Bruce.
Jack Bruce. I was going to say Lemmy Bruce. Jack Bruce is great, but I fucking hate Ginger Baker so much.
Okay.
And I had to play his music. You know, but
well, you have
Jack,
a more intelligent reason to say you don't like him than me. I just like, I don't know what it is. I just don't like him.
I mean, Jack Bruce is fucking great. I mean, he's one of the plus sides of the band.
Okay.
You know, not too crazy about Clapton, and I hate Ginger Baker. He's, you know, Bruce is definitely something.
I always heard that Ginger Baker was like a grade A asshole too.
Oh, fuck yeah. They made a documentary about him.
Yeah.
Called Beware of Mr. Baker.
Yeah, like when he was like really ill, right? He had like liver failure or some shit like that.
He was such an awful person. He got off lucky for whatever the fuck he got, in my opinion.
Okay.
He was definitely shitbag of the week.
Well, we can give him shitbag of the week. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I'll play a little bit of Sunshine from your love from Cream.
It's getting near dawn, when lights close the tired eyes. I'll soon be with you, my love. Give you my dawn surprise. I'll be with you, darling, soon. I'll be with you when the stars start falling. I've been waiting so long to be where I'm going.
I hate that song so fucking much, Bruce. I fucking hate it.
Well, maybe we'll hear it again. Maybe we'll put it in the electric chair later.
No, please, let's not even listen to it again. I had to play the shit out of that motherfucking song like every night, 2 nights a week for fucking 10 years. And I remember my band leader, who would pay me ahead of time before I even hit a note. And I was like, really, dude, we're going to play this fucking song? Didn't I already pay you? I'm like, yes, you did. That's what I think of when I hear Cream, of him saying, didn't I pay you?
Yeah, I just, I'm not like an enormous Clapton fan for some reason. I don't know why. He can't really play that much anymore. His hands are all fucked. He's got some neurological disorder or some shit like that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not gonna go see him.
No. I got 5 guys left, I think 5 or 4. I got John Paul Jones from Zeppelin.
Amazing bass player. One of the most important parts of Zeppelin is him. He was arranging orchestras and shit before he was in Zeppelin.
Yeah, well, and he did that too. Like all that shit on Kashmir, all those songs, that orchestra stuff, he did all that. He arranged all of that stuff too.
He's one of the best parts of Led Zeppelin.
And he's overlooked because of Page and Plant. Like those guys are
even Bonham.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, these guys are all Page and Plant and they're all icons, and no one ever says anything about him. He's probably one of the greatest bass players in rock and roll, period, the end.
And he was like he's been doing like session work. Like he did session work before Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Like he was on Sunshine Superman from Donovan. I like Donovan a lot. He played on the She's a Rainbow from the Stones. And then he was doing shit up through like REM's whatever that fucking album was. Automatic for the People. Like he arranged a lot of the shit on that too.
Oh wow. What a great attempt for a shitty album.
Yeah. But the bass on Ramble On is friggin' great.
Oh God, that's just one of the many fucking great.
Yeah. Zeppelin is a band, I feel like it doesn't, like they just had 4 guys that were just friggin' amazing musicians.
Yeah, they were brilliantly put together by Jimmy Page.
Yeah. Here you go.
But now I smell the rain, and with it came, and it's heading my way. Sometimes I grow so tired, but I know about one thing I got to do. I ramble on. Now the time is now. Sing my song. I'm going round.
You see, they were on Jimmy Kimmel this week.
No, are they?
Yeah.
Page and Plant or all 3 of them?
All 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to check out their IMAX movie. It's on whatever now, Apple.
Okay.
And then, not that I'm a huge Zeppelin fan, but I like documentaries.
I love Zeppelin. I had never listened to that, really paid attention to the bass. So I was enjoying a different way of listening to that.
Oh, dude, you have to go back and listen to all the amazing bass parts on every fucking record.
And people need to go back and listen to the whole episode we did on them and all the shit that they ripped off of people over the years. So,
and I'm sure John Paul Jones had nothing to do with it.
It seems like Plant and Page were like fighting out over all that shit. But yeah, out of all the episodes we've done, that one has been probably one of our best performing episodes that we did. But
nice.
Did I fuck up by not putting Sting on this list? I just thought of that.
Did you fuck up or we do that on purpose?
I was like, Sting isn't on the list. I'm like, should he have been?
I noticed you didn't say Stink at all, and I wasn't going to say anything about it because
you just call him Stink.
Stink.
Okay, it just crossed my mind. I'm like, did we fuck up not putting him on there?
No, he's a great bass player. I mean, for what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he just overshadowed Douchebag. Like his douchebagness stretched out through his music after The Police.
Get a little pretentious.
The Police are great. Everything he did after that sucked.
Yeah, I like some of his solo stuff, but all right. Well, that's all we need to say about him. He was not a douchebag as Paul McCartney, which I was like, fuck, we could have talked about him first, but
no, Paul's a great bass player. I mean, he played guitar for the Beatles before he played bass. And then when they shortened the band, he turned into the bass player.
Yeah, and you can't have any list of the musicians without bass players without him.
And he put left-handed players on the map, like guitar players, bass players, anything left-handed. He put them on the map.
Well, he started he played originally upside down, right? Or does he still play upside down?
I think he plays a guitar upside down because that's how he learned to play.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's hard not to talk about him. Just probably the most iconic bass player, I think, in rock and roll, and somebody that a bass player who wrote songs and sang songs and shit like that.
I'm trying to think of a perfect bass song that we can listen to for Paul.
I put something on here, but then I also Come Together's got a pretty solid.
Yeah, I'd rather hear Come Together than something.
Yeah, all right, here.
Great song.
How slowly the bass is walking up and down in that compared to the rest of the music. That's super cool.
Yeah, Paul's a master musician. Out of all of them, I think he's the most educated at the time out of those dudes. I mean, I think George was the most natural talented one out of all of them. But I think Paul had the most structure and knowledge when it comes to music.
For the fucking life of me, man, I don't get it because there's always some conversation on Facebook like, who is the most overrated band of all time? And the Beatles are almost always on the top of that list. And so many people say, yeah, you're right. I don't know if it's like kids today. I don't get it. It blows my mind every time that comes up.
Oh, they're not listening hard enough.
They can't be.
Or they haven't been through something so bad in their life that a Beatles song could fucking help you through it. And the Beatles help people through a lot of shit. A lot of bands don't do that.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I can't intellectually understand how they're foundational to everything. Like their early shit,
the fucking world.
Right. Their early shit is so brilliant in the bubblegum sound, and their later stuff is so brilliant in how complicated it was. I'm like, even if you don't like them, you have to understand where they fucking fit into the big picture.
One of my music mentors hate fucking the Beatles. He hates them. But he's one of my mentors, and I never understood it, and I accepted him about it with it, but I don't understand it.
I think it's like kids. Like my daughter listens to him. My daughter's an old soul with music, but I don't know if a lot of other people in their 20s listen to the Beatles. I don't know.
They'll never die. Maybe they'll go away, but I bet you look on Apple's most downloaded catalogs, it's probably the Beatles.
Yeah, remember that was a huge deal when they came to like iTunes and shit like that because you couldn't, they weren't on Spotify and everything else.
I remember the day it was on Spotify. It was fucking like a Christmas day. I mean, it was big when it went to Apple, but when it went to Spotify, it was like, holy shit. I remember when Zeppelin went on Spotify, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it sounds dumb now, but not when you can't get the songs you want.
No, dude, the desktop computer behind me, we're getting rid of because I'm like, we don't use it for anything. And I just, I was taking all of the music off of it out of my iTunes library, and I had like 180 gigs of songs. And I'm like, well, I can't just delete it. I got to put it somewhere. I got to do something with. I don't know what the fuck that means, but I was like, so much shit that I, either whether it's bootlegs or concerts or
time you put into it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to just rely on Spotify, whatever. Who has streaming rights with shit right now?
I do with my Spotify.
I got two more. Charles Mingus. So went back to jazz stuff. So Charles Mingus was played the double bass, was a big inspiration of Jocko and Victor Wooten, was a little bit temperamental, was very famous for chasing a heckler out of a bar with a baseball bat.
I know nothing about that.
In the late 60s, somebody was heckling him, and he just grabbed a baseball bat off the stage and chased the dude out into the street. So it was...
it sounds like a normal Friday night for me.
Yeah. temperamental dude. He, I just thought it would be interesting to play a little something from him. I have something called Haitian Fight Song on here. Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, but we're going to talk about jazz bass players. There's only one fucking guy we have to talk about. His name was Ron Carter, and he was Miles Davis's bass player at the same time when Herbie Hancock was playing with Miles. I mean, it'd probably be easier if there's something on Wikipedia or something you could read about.
Yeah. So I mentioned the Rolling Stone list of the greatest bass players ever. He's number 10.
Yeah.
So he recorded over 2,200 songs. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the most recorded bass player in jazz history. Played with Miles Davis. Did all kinds of other shit. Ron Carter had been playing music for over 60 years. He's got 3 Grammys. In addition to playing the bass, he also played the cello. So the guy was like, and he's still alive. And
he's my Facebook friend.
His discography is like ridiculous. And he played on like The Birth of Cool for Miles Davis. So it's and all this.
And it realized to me we were forgetting somebody, and we were listening to Mick. I was like, no, we got to talk about Ron Carter.
So What from Miles Davis off the Kind of Blue album that he's on. Ron Carter's on this.
Great song. Same. We're going to talk about jazz bass. We got to talk about Ron Carter, man.
That's such a classic bass sound, like walking up and walking down. That
not that he invented it, but he perfected it.
Yeah, really cool. I got 2 more. One guy I forgot was Phil Lesh from the Grateful Dead.
Yes, Phil passed away this year.
He did. He was working on a podcast for Pantheon, the network that we're on.
Actually, tomorrow night I'm going to go see his son play in his tribute band. His
That's
Grateful
cool.
Dead tribute band. Yeah.
That's cool.
Terrapin band.
Okay. He's kind of like a jazz guy that crossed
Phil
over.
Lesh was more than a bass player. He was a fabulous musician before he even picked up the bass guitar.
Yeah.
He was classically trained. He just knew how music worked.
I put Box of Rain on here just because I fucking love that song, and it's not. I don't think it's an enormous hit for.
It's not but for people that went through what I went through, this song means a lot to them. Box of Rain,
which is exactly what I thought.
Like
of.
losing someone.
Yes,
this is what the song's about.
Yes, that's exactly what got me into this song too.
Sun is shining, birds are winging, no rain is falling from a heavy sky. What do you want me to do for you, to see you through? For this is all a dream we dreamed one afternoon long ago.
He wrote that song traveling from San Francisco to his hometown, which was a couple hours away, to visit his dad while he was passing.
His dad was dying. Yeah.
And he wrote that song in there. And, I guess I was scared of that song. I never wanted to understand it. I never wanted to relate to it, but now, of course, I totally relate to it. And Not that I want to hear it any more now than I did before, because I just don't like it. But I understand a hell of a lot more now after I lost my father why people like that song.
I've always liked that song out of the Grateful Dead stuff, but and I say this every fucking episode, but I was like, there's so much going on there listening to it on headphones and just the listening to it in the car versus like listening to it and paying attention to it is such a different experience of music.
And what they captured on record is nothing near what they can what they capture live. So they really use the studio as an instrument.
Yeah.
They wanted to know her, so they pushed it to the limits. But that's, they abandoned all that shit when they start playing live all the time.
I got one more guy. And that was Donald Duck Dunn, who was...
I was just watching the Blues Brothers.
Famously in the Blues Brothers. He was the Stax session guy for Booker T and the MGs. And he played bass on like Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. But maybe the most famous thing that you would know of is from Green Onions.
Donald Duck Dunn. God, you can see you're giving it to me now. Donald Duck Dunn has the greatest line in the Blues Brothers. To describe the Blues Brothers music, he says, "We had a sound that turned goat piss into gasoline."
He didn't even want to be in that.
I could see why.
He said like Belushi like convinced him to do it.
Yeah, it was probably a great payday for him too. I'm sure they gave him money he couldn't fucking resist because he's the best in the business. All those guys were McIntyre, Murphy, all those motherfuckers, and that's what all they are. They're all motherfuckers up there. Best band probably there ever was the Blues Brothers band. I
agree. I think that's 17, well, probably more than closer to 20 bass players. And
I'm glad we didn't do that thing from that movie, playing the bass, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't do that dumb shit.
Nope. Yeah, we covered a little bit of everything. Some jazz, some rock, some punk, some metal.
That's what we do. We touch a little bit of everything.
All right, second thoughts, man. I got some second thoughts. My second thoughts are all around your dad. So our friend Cameron from Rochester, New York, who's emailed us a couple times, we read his emails on the show. He emailed us twice. The first one, he said, please pass this on to Ryan and the rest of the McCusker family. It deeply saddens me to hear about the passing of your father. I can tell by the way that Ryan spoke of his dad. He has a deep bond with him, and they shared a mutual respect for each other. Although no words can take away the pain, knowing that friends and family are around to share the burden is helpful. We'll be raising a glass and toasting John, Cameron. And then he emailed me like the next day. And he's like, Bruce, I should have listened to Monday's show before I emailed you, but I didn't check. I figured you wouldn't be doing one. The show was a great tribute to John, and I'm sure it helped Ryan. As you were saying, at some point, we get to a happier place, and even though we're still sad, we smile or laugh when we think of loved ones. Yesterday would have been my dad's birthday, so it was a very fitting listen and a great show. We have been in talks about heading towards Philadelphia this summer or the fall, and I will definitely give you a heads up so we can buy each other a beer. I would love to get together and talk music and life. I think we all have a lot in common. By the way, you guys are pretty classy. Cameron.
Thank you, my brother.
No, I was like, dude.
Thank you for your kind words, and it really helps me through a really hard part of my life, and to get help to get support from something that I do for fun. I would never expect the support from strangers.
Super, super cool. I'm never going to say again that I'm amazed that people write in after Cameron lectured us on it one time. But I wrote him back and I was like, dude, please let me know when you make plans to come to Philadelphia. I would love, if it's McCuskers or somewhere else, I'd love to buy you beer and just shoot the shit about music. So
I would love it.
And then Josh from Boldfoot wrote in. Josh wrote in and he said, how we talked about some other stuff, but he said, how's Ryan doing? It was a heartbreaking listening to the show dedicated to his dad. And then one thing he brought up that I wanted to ask you about. So he said he went to a concert and he saw the band Fuel. But Fuel was like, remember them from the 90s?
Sure. I like that album.
He said, but the singer is no longer in the band. And it's like a different singer, but the guitar player who wrote the songs is in the band. So he's like, did I really see them? And
no, I say no.
So like, and he was with like all of his family. Like 2 of them said, yes, you did. And 2 of them said, no, you didn't. And here was my argument back to him. And I wrote him in and I was like, Josh, here was my thing. I was like, last summer, Live and Stone Temple Pilots went on tour together. Live, the singer is the only dude who's still in the band. Stone Temple Pilots, it's everybody but Scott Weiland. And if I went to that show, I would say I saw Live, but I didn't see Stone Temple Pilots.
I saw Fuel live, and they were fucking great. You know who they opened for and they blew off stage? Was fucking Van Halen.
What?
With Gary Sharon. Gary Sharon played with Van Halen. They played the Spectrum. And you know, whatever, you're like, all right. And Fuel came out and they were so motherfucking good, dude. They just crunched it out. And then Van Halen came out. Yeah, but with Gary Sharon, it sucked. It sucked.
Right. So it's like, if you see Van Halen with Gary Sharon, did you see Van Halen?
It's all about Eddie. I say no, that's a bad.
Okay.
If that's the only thing you caught by Van Halen, then that sucks for you.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting discussion. So like he and Josh wrote it. He said, my brother-in-law recently saw Black Flag on tour with a band called Flag. Black Flag has a quote-unquote original singer, but Flag had all of the other original members with a different singer. He said Black Flag sucked and Flag was great. Who did he see?
They're both cashing in.
Right, so it's like if you see, like, I've seen Queen with Adam Lambert. I didn't see Queen.
Yeah, you didn't see Queen.
But it's like, and I've seen Skinnerd, but Skinnerd was like
Skinnerd. You saw a cover band,
right? Gary Rosington was the only one.
That doesn't matter. That don't even fucking matter,
right? Or like my daughter went and saw the Temptations at like some fucking talk show the other yeah. Nobody's left anymore. So it's like, no. But where is the line where it's like where you saw
whoever owns the name?
Is it because the Skinnerd guys own the name for Skinnerd?
Yes, I don't.
Like, if you saw the Dead without Jerry, did you see the Dead?
No, I never saw the Grateful Dead. I seen the Dead. I've seen the other ones. I saw Dead and Company.
Well, maybe
I saw Phil and Friends, but I never saw the Grateful Dead.
And they never toured as the Grateful Dead, so maybe that's the wrong analogy. But I don't know.
But people say, you ever see the Grateful Dead? I'm like, no, because Jerry died when I was 18. I didn't have a chance to go see him. Sorry, I missed it. I had nothing.
You saw the Who without Keith Moon. Did you see the Who?
Right.
Or like the Stones? Have you seen the Stones? Like, if you saw the Stones without Charlie, is it the Stones? I don't know.
No, it sucked without Charlie, and I was there. It sucked without Charlie.
So I think it depends, I guess, on a case-by-case basis.
Yes.
On the artist, right? Like, if I go to the fucking Wu-Tang thing next month, but ODB's not there, did I see the Wu-Tang Clan? I think I did.
It would be the resurrection of ODB baby Jesus.
Right. I just thought that was a really interesting conversation. Like, when is seeing a band count as a band? There was something he was talking about on his podcast. So
that's a good. Yeah, never thought of that.
So Josh has a podcast called "It Was the Damnedest Thing," and he did say he wants to have both of us on his show.
That'd be great.
So I'd love to do it, and we have to have him on our show at some point too. But
Josh, thank you for all your support through everything with my family. It's way supportive of you, brother. Thank you so much.
He's such a good dude.
I wish I had the pleasure.
Well, you will. You haven't had the pleasure yet. That's all it means.
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right. Music news. I got 2 pieces of music news, and they're both New Jersey related. The first one is Springsteen has announced he's releasing a very anticipated follow-up to his 1998 box set coming in late June. Tracks 2 is going to include 83 songs, including a handful of albums that he finished and never released. The box set, which I will be locked in my house listening to, includes a soundtrack for a movie that was never made. There's a country album. There's a whole nother album of shit that came out of the Nebraska sessions called like the Garage album. There's another album he made when he recorded the soundtrack for Streets of Philadelphia. He said the common argument against him is like the 90s kind of sucked for him and were quiet. And he's going to be like, no, man, I was making a ton of music. I just never released it. So I can't wait to hear all this stuff.
Yeah, that's great. It's just like, I didn't really a big fan of the first box set. Like, it was okay. But, you know, all in all, it wasn't that great, in my opinion.
There's a handful of stuff on the first box set that I really like. And I nerd out when he plays it sometimes, but that's okay. Yeah, that's cool.
But they took the best of that box set, made it into a CD. They could have just done that.
And they're doing that for this as well. Because
okay.
He's going to cash in. But there's like one track that's been released I listened to today I didn't like, but I'm going to be optimistic about it.
It's like I'd rather hear demos and shit than songs that didn't make albums.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Like, he recorded so much crap. Like the Nebraska to Born in USA, like that's all kind of like one thing. And he recorded a shit ton more music that didn't come out. I want to hear that.
Okay. I'm going to listen to it. I just, I didn't really think much of the first box set.
Okay. And then the second one is about Bon Jovi. And this story is crazy to me. So the mayor of Toms River, New Jersey, Toms River is a town down the Jersey Shore. Bon Jovi has opened another version of his JBL Soul Kitchen down there. And the mayor of New Jersey is publicly complaining about the JBJ Soul Kitchen. It's a nonprofit restaurant that served over 200,000 meals to people in need. And it tells people like, hey, come in to eat and pay whatever you can. If you can't afford it, it's no big deal, even if you want to volunteer to pay off the meal. So Bon Jovi opened a pop-up location in February in the Ocean County Library to help people. And the mayor is now saying that the library is a soup kitchen, and there's so many homeless people coming into this town that it's a problem. And he's even accused people of, like, he said other charities are getting paid millions of dollars by Bon Jovi to round up homeless people and bus them into his restaurant. And I have found that so fucking incredibly tone deaf that Bon Jovi's trying to help people. And there's such a stigma against people needing help right now in today's politics.
I bet you that guy never bought a Bon Jovi album.
Right.
I bet he never fucking liked Bad Medicine. I bet he was more of a Billy Idol fan.
Right. And it's and it's just like trashing him, being like, well, you're probably getting paid to bust these people in for publicity for your restaurant.
As a person and what I like and what I do not like, dude, a pop-up at a library sucks. That would piss me the fuck off. But, another location would have been fucking awesome.
But somebody gave him the permits to do that. He said, I want to help.
But then it's like, all right, the library's fucked for whatever. I don't know.
I think it's incredibly tone deaf by the mayor. This has been on my radar shit to talk about for a while. And then like 2 weeks ago, I took a day off from work, my son and I, and we went and volunteered for Habitat for Humanity. So my company, my real job, my company gives everybody a paid day off every year to go volunteer.
Nice.
And we were in the fucking hood of Camden.
Wow.
Rehabbing a house for somebody to move in. And I was just thinking about the Bon Jovi thing in light of that. And I was like, man, it's not a handout, it's a hand up. And there's such a big difference to that.
I mean, there's been times I said, as a childhood, John Bon Jovi was my childhood hero. And he's still continuing to be my hero. Me just saying, it shouldn't be in a library. It's just a least thing that's the least of it.
Sure, right. No, I get it.
I think he's an amazing human. For someone to criticize even a little bit of what he's doing, or even to bring bad press to it or talk, that's how can you do that?
Right. It just sounds,
you make yourself look like such an asshole.
Right.
You make you look like the Grinch or some shit.
Yeah, I got so fired up when I was reading all this kind of shit that Bon Jovi, by all accounts, seems like a dude who's just trying to help people.
Yeah. But even when you try to help people, they fuck with you.
Right.
I've learned that myself doing things down at the bar as a charity.
Right.
And I find there's a way that I get fucked in it some way.
Yeah.
It's true.
And there's such a stigma of like, I'm sorry, but the argument falls to like everybody's like some illegal immigrant who's coming in and wants like an iPhone and free like thousands of dollars like that. That's where just people's minds go. And it was like, how about there's just like, fucking people that need some help? Right?
Absolutely.
Like, right? Take
Here's
the politics
a fucking
out of it.
meal. Here's a new pair of socks.
Right.
It's just a new pair of socks changes the world for a homeless person.
Right.
There's so much wrong in the world that we pay attention to. And I think the homeless problem in America doesn't get enough attention to.
Like, dude, the fucking, my son and I were with like 10 other guys. We're working on this house in Camden, New Jersey at Habitat for Humanity. And you see like people start loitering outside watching us. And it was like a car that like the Escalade starts driving around the block over and over. And they're like, and I'm talking to the guy for Habitat for Humanity. He's like, they're literally just waiting for you to leave anything outside that they can steal. He's like,
sure.
We ordered pizza for lunch. He's like, if you leave the pizza outside and go in to take a leak, they will steal the pizza. Or he was like, we just finished rehabbing a house a couple blocks over. And the night before we were going to turn the fucking keys over to somebody broke in and ripped out all the copper out to go steal it. And you're just like, man, these are people that are like, the scoreboard of that game goes like, it's really small, right? It's like these people are just trying to fucking get ahead. And then they hear the guy like,
look how desperate people are though, Bruce.
Right.
To ruin someone's chance.
Right.
Just to get, a couple bucks of copper out.
Right.
That's how desperate people are. And it's a problem. And we can't help these people.
Right. And it's
but
like,
we're worried about so many other things that are over my head. But homeless is not over my head. It's something I see every day in my life. Guys, I live in the city of Philadelphia. There's homeless people I step over sometimes to get to the bar. So I'm sure there's people listening to our show, live in the suburbs. They don't,
yeah.
They don't think of the homeless. I think of the homeless on a really cold fucking night, walking in the city of Philadelphia and hoping that praying that there's no one on the streets like right now.
Right. And it just reading that whole thing with the mayor, it was so fucking tone deaf. I would think even if you have a problem with it being in the library, there's a better way to push back on it and explain it and
yes,
were you concerned? Otherwise, you sound like such a calloused asshole, and there's just such a lack of just compassion in so many facets of life now.
Probably likes docking more,
right? I mean, that guy, like, I didn't even look up what party he was in because I'm like, I don't care because you're just being an asshole, and that supersedes everything. And so
maybe
many people.
He's shitbag of the week.
I think you know what, the fucking mayor of Tom's River is a shitbag of the week.
Shitbag of the week.
Dun dun dun.
We should send him some hate mail.
We should. Yeah, and that's as far off that's as political as I'm going to get. But
it's a good one. At least we're not fucking, I don't know, talking about crazy shit people. I'm going to get into it, but this is a good topic. Homelessness is a big problem in America.
Right, regardless
of what. It's a big problem in my city, in my neighborhood.
Dude, I live in fucking suburbia, like a kind of expensive suburbia, and we have a problem here. Like, it's everybody is, or so many people are one fucked up thing away from things being really bad in their lives.
Oh,
yeah, whether it's a hospitalization or
to more people than you know.
Yeah,
they're one paycheck away from fucking hitting the streets.
Right, and it's like, dude, if you can. Like I said, it's a hand up, it's not a handout, and you could.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I have no problem giving everybody a hand up.
Right.
Hand out maybe a little, but a hand up, I'll help any fucking time, anywhere.
Yep. And it's like, I say this all the time at work with like our people, they give us a day off to volunteer. I'm like, go do it because you will meet people that will change your fucking life and will change your opinion then, instead of just writing a check to somebody. Like I was volunteering one time we're getting off topic and we're running late. I was volunteering one time at a homeless shelter in Camden. I was putting benches together and this dude rolled up and he had a t-shirt that said Live Nation on it. So he was working security at the music venue in Camden. And I was like, immediately I saw of course I start talking to him because I'm like, oh, music, shit. And he was like, the guy was a vet who lost his house, was living in a homeless shelter. He's like, I'm trying to get back on my feet. I have this job and I work security. So I screen people when they come in and then they let me hang out and watch the concert afterwards so I can have a little bit of entertainment and I'm not wasting my money. And it's just some dude who's just trying to get back on his feet. It's like,
it's just like like a chance.
Right.
Some of these people just need a haircut and a chance.
Right. You don't need a haircut, but
I don't have any hair.
Right. I know. But anyway,
I would pay to have a haircut just to have a haircut. I give $100 on top of the haircut money just to have a haircut.
Right. You buy the hair off of the floor of the barbershop to glue it in your head.
Yes.
It fucking infuriated me because I'm like, Bon Jovi just seems like he's trying to help.
He's amazing, dude.
Right. He
just like everybody has their fucking faults, I'm sure. But he's one of my role models in life to this day.
Yeah. We say a lot. We like good people, and he seems like he's trying to make a difference. And he doesn't make a big fucking deal out of it either. Like, again, the homeless shelter I was just talking about, he does all this work there, and there's pictures of him all over the place inside. But I've never heard him like giving a press like he shows up and just like serves food to people.
Imagine the shit you don't hear about.
Correct. Right. He runs his business where like this restaurant is like, pay what you can. And if you can't afford it, don't worry about it. Like, that's amazing.
I just hope he never gets into politics.
He seems pretty
he doesn't. He said he never will. But
even like Springsteen, like I know where Springsteen stands with his politics. Bon Jovi, I've never heard him say a thing about anybody.
I'm just saying, like running for
office. I don't see that.
I just hope he never fucking tries to do that.
All right. That said, the electric chair, you got something?
Yeah, I mean, I love the girl, but we're doing a bass song. I hate that song. Fucking, I got the bass. What is it called?
All About the Bass.
Oh, that's it.
This song with Meghan Trainor. People are gonna fucking kill me, but I like her.
I like her too.
I think she's a little like retro sounding with her stuff. But I get it, how it fits into.
Well, we're talking on bass guitar, so this is.
Yeah,
I got the bass.
I don't have anything else to say about it really, other than like I know the song. Okay. I don't really.
Gets on my nerves though.
Yeah, she has some other songs I like a little bit more than her. I don't listen.
She did a show in Philadelphia.
Did she?
And it was on TV. And she wouldn't shut the fuck up about her fucking husband.
Okay. I don't know anything really about her other than I know like 2 songs from her.
All right, let's kill this song.
All right. 6 albums now.
Why?
We sentence you to death.
Dude, I swear to God, I think I saw her in a Disney parade on TV and in the Philadelphia parade doing something and singing. And she just talked about her awesome husband, how she dedicates a song to her husband, her beautiful husband, all this fucking shit. That's all she talked about.
Okay. Well, then I get it.
Yeah.
I think she's got a little bit of like a throwback, like doo-wop-y kind of sound I like.
Yeah, sure.
But I get it.
She sounds like something fucking Selena would sing right there.
Yeah. The Warden probably likes it.
The Warden.
That'll do it for episode 99 in Bass Players. If you want to hear more about the music beyond the 30-second clips we played, check out the show notes for a link to our episode playlist. We make one for every episode. And while you're in the show notes, you can find links to our website. That's prisonersofrockandroll.com. Our email, show@prisonersofrockandroll.com. Our email, show@prisonersofrockandroll.com. Our Facebook and our Twitter accounts, and a map to the legendary McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia. Brother, this was great. I have a lot of coughing I have to edit out, but hopefully I'll be feeling better in 2 weeks for episode number 100.
I can't believe it. We got to rub our heads together. I think I got an idea. We'll talk about it.
All right.
All right, keep on rocking.
Peace out.
Just a Bristol.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.